Yeah, there's a reason why many of the super technologists are having their children read philosophy. It's happening now, right? A lot of technologists are making sure their children don't look at screens. We all know what's going on right now. So the answer again is in first principles. The book, in looking at kindness and math and reconciling the two of them, we're talking about root principles, right? And so when you sort of invest in someone kindly and mathematically honestly, what we're really talking about in the book, the helicopter, is a symbol of agency. So I think right now the key word is, what does it mean to be agentic?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Navigating Technology with Zeal. We're taking a brief detour from our usual technology-focused conversations with CIOs to explore something that runs much deeper, the very essence of human relationships. Our guest today is someone who embodies and teaches the powerful idea that kindness and math can form an unbeatable partnership in the business world. I know, who would have thought of that? We are honored to be speaking with James Rhee, Harvard graduate, teacher, private equity investor, CEO, and author of the inspiring book, The Red Helicopter. To this long list of credentials after reading the book, I would like to add philosopher. Welcome, James. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Great to be in Dallas. Yeah.
I have to tell you first about my reaction when I read your book. I don't think I would ever say that I have bawled my eyes out reading a book on management. I would call this more a book on philosophy, on life and lessons, and I underlined and highlighted with great fever like I would if I was reading Brumi. So thank you for that experience. But I want to know, how were you able to be so authentic in the writing of this book when some people can't even be that authentic in writing their own journals?
Well, that's a great question. Hi, everyone. Wow, you went right there. Look, I think that anything that you do, when you do it, particularly when you know other people are going to look at it, read it, watch you, there shouldn't be any tolerance for anything other than the truth. I think that the book is fundamentally a process about finding truth without being prescriptive about the truth, but more being honest about the process of finding truth. So that's number one. So why would I write a book about truth if I wasn't completely honest about everything, including all of my foibles, weaknesses, struggles, insecurities, and my journey in dealing with it? Not overcoming them, but just addressing them and naming them and sort of moving on. So that's number one. And then number two, as you know from the book, anytime you have innovation, growth, transformation, it necessarily encompasses loss and suffering, right? Because by definition, change means something dies, right? So in the book, I don't want to spoil the book, there's a lot of death, right? There's a lot of loss. So during the process of this book, my 40s, I experienced a lot of loss, not just humans, but a lot of ego death. And so when you experience that, you are in a position to be super honest, because you've gone through the process of sort of reconciling everything, assets, liabilities, your history, your past, present, future. That's where I was, and that's where I am now. And I needed to be there, and I was there, and sort of doing everything I'm doing to Red Helicopter.
Amazing. Now, I've heard you speak and had the honor and privilege of hearing you speak at 2 or 3 events. Some of Zeal's clients like Toyota and Southwest Airlines, and we did a book club for our Zealers yesterday as well. And I've seen you sort of shift back and forth in this dichotomy that you balance so beautifully, right? American, but of Korean origin, right? Private equity guy, but yet you want to end our sessions with videos about kids talking about their future goals and how they've been inspired by the book. And I see you turn it on and off really well too. You're teary-eyed one moment and you're like, I don't suffer fools. And you see that switch. How do you create that balance? Like, I'm in awe of that.
Oh my gosh. And you said it so nicely. I was long time ago, as you know, I was on like Brene Brown's podcast, and I said it less eloquently. I said, I'm a hot mess. And she's like, yeah, a little bit of a hot mess. But she went on to say that hot messes, they end up doing interesting work in transformation.
Interesting.
Right? So we are living in a society these days, both from a technological standpoint with algorithms, just the shift from analog to digital whatever it was, 20 years ago. But now we're setting these algorithms like tire tracks, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1.
Mm-hmm.
We're pushing our kids to be hyper specialists,
Yes.
super vertical specialists. And my belief, we're doing all of this at the exact wrong time. We should be pushing everyone to be lateral thinkers, systems thinkers, multidiscipline thinkers, polymaths. There's truth in multiple disciplines, multiple cultures.
Right.
And for some reason, we know why, right? In the pursuit of scale, you want to go hyper vertical, hyper deep, and pound it, right? It takes much more patience, much more wisdom, much more of a sense of longitudinal outcomes to be lateral. And some of the great thinkers, entrepreneurs, technologists, they're lateral thinkers. They're polymaths,
Right.
and they're systems thinkers. So from a personality standpoint, yeah, like, people in my past have had a hard time reconciling some things. They're like, you sing rock and roll,
Right.
right? You're an investor of money, but you used to teach high school, and you went to law school to be a public defender, and you read philosophy. And I'm like, yeah, sure, but you're just as complex too. Like, look at yourself, right? You have so many different interests, and why are you so interested in confining yourself to something? And you don't want to do that right now. You need hyper agility right now in the world. The pace of innovation changes so fast.
True.
Why would you want to be so vertical right now when an entire vertical can go away?
It's like you said over the past few days, don't put people and processes in a box.
Yeah, they're not meant to be in a box, and boxes don't exist in nature,
Right.
right? And squares do not exist in nature. So I've tried to live my life. The book is about sort of just the laws of nature, right? And comparing the laws of nature, physics and chemistry, and things like kindness and math to the man-made, human-made systems, and reconciling the two and saying, we all live in man-made systems all the time, but just remember, these are completely contrived. And we are living in a time right now where the systems we took for granted for the past 70, 80 years, clearly all of them are in question.
Yes.
And so you have to go back to a state of nature and really look at from a 50,000 foot point of view and be able to see the entire landscape. And again, we are pushing people right now to not do that. They're looking at a screen the size of it's a whatever it is, a 3 by 5 inch screen, and we're asking them to just be good at one thing. So we are by definition just doing the exact opposite of what people should be doing.
So that leads me to my next question. Zeal is an AI technology firm. A lot of our audience are technologists or in the industry. What are you seeing as a future as we see technology literally taking over, right? There's this big dialogue around, is AI going to rule us all? What type of skills that leaders and technologists need to be able to make sure that balance is maintained in that equation as well?
Yeah, there's a reason why many of the super technologists are having their children read philosophy. It's happening now, right? A lot of technologists are making sure their children don't look at screens. We all know what's going on right now. So the answer again is in first principles. The book, in looking at kindness and math and reconciling the two of them, we're talking about root principles, right? And so when you sort of invest in someone's kindly and mathematically honestly, what we're really talking about in the book, the helicopter, is a symbol of agency. So I think right now the key word is, what does it mean to be agentic? Yeah. And if you think about technology, right, the nomenclature they're using is saying, agentic AI.
Yes, absolutely.
But agency is an innate, intuitive birthright. It defines what it means to be human. We're born with agency. And so in many ways, the book is explaining what agency means. It's a warning and saying that there are a lot of people, leaders, and technological leaders and technologies that are very willing to strip you of your agency. Why are you so willing to cede your agency? It's a birthright.
Which is your ability to make decisions for yourself? Is that how you would define agency?
With the mental belief with action that you can influence your future, right? So the question to your listeners is, would you rather be in life a passenger in seat 35C of this really sleek, awesome jet plane? Or would you rather fly a slightly more inefficient, loud, a little bit less safe
Right.
helicopter? And I'm positing that to humans all over the world and saying, would you sacrifice speed, hyper efficiency for agility, vertical lift, the ability to land anywhere, the ability to hover? For me, I'd rather be a helicopter. And I believe that's a better metaphor for the realities of imperfection of being human.
Right. Well, that resonates with me at such a personal level that only people closest to me would understand. So thank you for that. And seat 35C sounds like it's the middle seat by the restroom. So no
Yeah,
thank
who wants to sit there? And it doesn't even recline, you know?
Exactly. So definitely that makes the contrast very stark. Now, speaking of that agency and what defines a good leader, a lot of the people I work with, my colleagues, we've kind of grown up into the leadership role, and now we have large teams we lead, people that look up to us. And somebody said to me once that if you want to keep going up the corporate ladder and let's say be CEO, you have to know that a large majority of CEOs are sociopaths. Well, that turned me off that idea real quick, and I stepped back and thought about it. And when I read the book, I said, well, James definitely does not sound like a sociopath. No. And this kindness and math that you took with you to Ashley Stewart, what, according to you, because you have a model that's proven successful, how does that differ from, because people almost look with reverence to these CEOs that are very difficult people to work with and live with?
Yes.
How do you look at that?
I always start with definitions, as you know, right? So let's first distinguish between a leader and a CEO.
Okay.
All CEOs are not leaders, right? A leader is, in any context, you know, from this book, the leaders that I heap a lot of praise on were never CEOs. My mother, right? The women of Ashley Stewart. Being a leader is quite different. So CEOs it's again, a contrivance. You are the chief executive officer of a corporate entity or an organizational entity. Corporations and organizations, these are, again, contrived, man-made entities. They don't exist in nature. So we have defined what a CEO means. So how have we done that? Not just through press and media and business books, but through business schools and saying, this is what a CEO means. And you know that last February, I was asked to keynote the Business School Deans Conference, right? 1,200 business school deans asking me, what should we be teaching our next...
Did you ask them to scrape their current curriculum?
I did, in my very nice way, very subtle way. I just said, what have you been teaching your students? You know, I didn't go to business school. I went to law school. And then my business education was School of Hard Knocks, right, through decades of being in business. But my background is much more in humanities and justice and fairness and systems dynamics. It's much more, or just in math and science, right? So the CEO, we're just defining it wrong.
Right.
So shouldn't company CEOs, you want them to actually be leaders. If they're not leaders, are they going to be great CEOs? So a leader is a higher order.
Right.
And so for me, to give your listeners a tangible example, they may not know the story, right? So you have to picture, you're hearing my voice, but you have to picture sort of this side-parted, with dimples, Korean-American guy. At the time, I was in my 40s, right? Pretty like squeaky clean look, you know? And I'm wearing this blue blazer right now. But you have to picture me walking into a pretty difficult environment. There's no Wi-Fi, no tech stack. Company's losing 22 years of row, just losing money. And I'm a first-time CEO. I volunteered to do this. It's a business that's in fashion. People are really mad. It's a cross-section of America, but it serves predominantly plus-size Black women. So like complete fish out of water. And me showing up, and what I said, I believe, was not on purpose. It just came much more intuitively. I think I behaved as a leader. I admitted what I didn't know. I explained what the vision could be. I explained to them that my job was to release their agency, right? To create an environment that people had to sort of be the best version of themselves, not myself, and that I was going to help tie it all together through one conventional business means, a business plan, numbers, like margins, all of these things, which I've done many times.
Right.
But to inspire change and a new vision, that we had to create a kind environment so I could tap into their parasympathetic nervous system to get the best cognitive place of each person, and that they had to feel safe in order to imagine. That's what I did. And so, does that sound like a CEO? I don't know if that's taught in business school, but a lot of the disciplines I just said, they're taught in other schools.
Right.
Right. So,
They are.
right. If you think about where AI is going, a lot of what's taught in conventional business schools, it may or may not be, probably will be, which is what I said to the deans, irrelevant. Right. So some of these lateral skills that are connecting multiple disciplines, how do you do that? That's very difficult for AI to do.
Right.
Right. And so that's, if you want to stay relevant or the future of leadership, it's a skill set you need to have. You're just not taught it. You're told not to do that. And I'm saying,
Right.
why would you tell humans not to do that? It's innately in them.
Right.
Just let them do it. So that's what we did.
What's that one trait? Because yesterday during our book club talk, you made a comment about, everybody realizes after they work for a great leader that they work for a great leader because of the aura that a great leader has and the ripple effect it has into the rest of the company. What is that one distinguishing feature that distinguishes that leader from someone who takes that role and says, be lucky to bask in the glory of my leadership,
The common phrases I hear when I meet great leaders, what other people say to them. Because again, everything's flipped, the vector. It's not what the leader says. It's really,
Right.
it's the reaction, it's what other people say about you.
Yes. What do you inspire in other people?
Correct. And that's, if you think of it from a UX design standpoint, no one cares what your opinion is. It's just the customer. So it's hyper empathy, right? You have to sort of detach yourself. So this is what I hear said about great leaders. Two things. One, you inspire me. And there's a real etymological meaning to someone saying inspire, which means to breathe. So really what someone's saying to a great leader is that when I'm around you and working with you, I feel like I can breathe. So again, put it to cognition, parasympathetic nervous system, vagus nerve. You're getting them out of fight, flight, out of toxicity.
Right.
And they're saying, my body is able to breathe.
Right.
And why wouldn't you want that, right? You want people to breathe and they're tapping into the best part of their brain. That's number one. The second thing, of a hallmark of a great leader, people's attitude toward them, I hear this said. They say, Leader X, I'm sorry I disappointed you. I disappointed you.
Right.
You don't say that to someone that you don't respect, right?
So
I
true.
disappointed you. And a great leader, what they will say is, no, you didn't disappoint me. You disappointed yourself.
Right.
And if you think about that language, you
Right.
should be listening for that, because
Right.
that's great leadership. And how many people in your life would you say, I feel like I disappointed you? It's very few people you would say that to. And
That's true.
you say that to people who have invested in you, who have been
Right.
kind to you.
Who believed in you.
Correct. And how many of you, like if you really think, if your listeners are really thinking, how many people can I say have been kind to me in my life?
Right.
I bet you cannot name more than your fingers on one hand.
Right.
It's very rare.
It's very rare. It shouldn't be.
It should not be. And don't you want that in a leader? Don't you want more kind people in your life?
Right.
Rather than being embarrassed about the word kindness, why aren't you like craving it?
Isn't it synonymous with weakness in the business world? Like in your PE world, let's say.
It is, because again, words and media and opinions, they influence behavior. But when you really pull the onion back, which all my work is about, root truth.
Right.
Kindness is the opposite. It's the strongest. It's only the most competent people, the most confident people who are in a position to be kind. Right? Because otherwise, if you are not competent and confident and self-assured, then physiologically, you're in fight or flight mode. You don't have the capacity to be kind.
Right.
You just want to take.
Right.
Which is why, the genesis of the whole red helicopter story of me as an innocent 5-year-old boy, like sharing my lunch.
Right.
How wise was that boy? And that boy became less wise as I collected degrees and honors and money.
Right.
The boy disappeared, and so did my wisdom. And so the book is a lot of my work in trying to find wisdom again, and imagination, and creativity, and generosity. And what I found is that it made me smarter, more agile, more creative, and it all showed up in my financial returns too. And it should make biological sense. It does make biological sense.
We all lose that child somewhere along the way, right? So the book is literally a call to find your red helicopter. I've heard you repeat that so many times over the last 3 days, is find your red helicopter story and hang on to it, mold your life around it.
Yeah, it's basically saying do not relinquish your agency. And because there's every force in the world right now is gleefully taking away from you. And it's just that inner chatter of saying, no, like my life, my decisions,
Right.
I'm going to fly alongside other helicopters, but I have to fly myself.
Right. What blew my mind away was your decision not to, so contrary to any business book rule, not to do buy now, pay later. That would have significantly increased your Ashley Stewart revenue, especially during holiday times, right? But you consciously decided not to not to go forward with a profitable business decision because you believed in the greater good.
I believe that it was contradictory to the reason why I was actually turned my life upside down. I mean, so I was doing this not to sell clothes. I did this because I met a group of women who reminded me an awful lot of my mom, that were highly agentic in so many other aspects of their life, but in the corporate environment, they felt like it was stripped and they were treated in that way.
Right.
And so the whole business model restored the agency that they had in other places of their life,
Right.
and just recalibrated everything in a financial way. And so why would I, now I'm not bashing on buy now, pay later, although you can start seeing the delinquencies happening right now. It's like surprise, surprise, right? It wasn't reported on the credit scores. Now it is, and people are not paying it back, and people are shocked. I'm like, how can you say that? Give me a break. Right? So at the time when it was new, I knew this. Of course it's common sense that people are going to overspend, of course is. With the click of a button and you don't understand what credit is already. Right. So a lot of financial tools, they are, it's too strong a word to say it's not fraudulent, it's not, but you have to ask yourself, is the transaction that's occurring, did your customer have full agency?
Right.
And for me, I've owned many successful businesses. I would like, when I take someone's money for a product, for them to have done it knowingly with full agency.
Right.
Because that leads to non-transactional relationships.
And a repeat customer.
Repeat customers. And the math backs all that up. And you can either play for short-term one win, or you can, but we all know as digital marketing people too,
right,
customer acquisition costs, if you're relying on one-time customers, your business is not going to be successful.
It's like you're almost killing the goose that lays the golden egg.
Totally.
Right?
And it's just this little dopamine hit. Yeah, I got one person. I pulled one over that person. Yeah. Well, good for you. That's great. Right. But you're going to be out of business in 2 years.
Right. What's the most significant piece of advice that you give your students? Because I know you're still a teacher, and they live in a world where certain demographics, not only do they have the deck stack against them right out the gate, I think the system is rigged in a way to work against them. So they're entering workforces. It's women of color, minorities, or just people that don't have the socioeconomic status that sets them up to do certain jobs and roles right out the gate because of their parents' influence, right? What is your single most important advice for them to be in a position that you're in today? Because you did it.
I did do it, and I am teaching it, and it has worked in the real world. And that's my advice is, this is not going to sound, it's going to sound self-serving. It's not meant to be. That's why I wrote the book.
Yeah.
I'm asking them to read the book.
Read the book.
And as a first start, right? There are other things. There's, as you know, there's like music coming, or there already is music, a musical and an app and all of these things. I tried to write this book in a simple, condensed, readable, non-pedantic, really fun way, almost like a movie, that it would be joyful to learn about very difficult things.
Right.
So my advice is that there is no one piece of advice. It's a system.
Yeah.
Right? And I hope that this book gives people a framework to then understand when they go to school. Oh, that's why I'm learning chemistry and accounting and reading English literature or learning about social studies. People go to school and they just learn, they test. They get a good score.
Right.
And so what I'm saying
It's all about the grades.
Yeah, what I'm saying to young people, it's like, no. Picture yourself as a helicopter.
Right.
If you were to build a helicopter of you, that means in order to put it together, you need to learn how to finance putting it together. So you have to know accounting and finance theory and cap tables. You have to learn that the physics of a helicopter. So you have to learn about physics, Newton's third law. You have to learn about the philosophy of being a pilot. Like helicopters have to be in full balance. What does balance mean to you?
Right.
What is leverage? Right? Financial leverage, personal leverage. So that's what I'm doing, right? So like, can you really manifest and see what you're learning? Everything you're learning is building toward having agency.
Right.
And for some reason, we don't tell people that. That's what I'm on a mission to do. And particularly what really bothers me is that we don't teach every person in the world how their brain works.
Right.
It's the first system.
Right. It's so complicated too.
Yeah, but it is complicated, but there's certain things, right? This is how emotion works and memory formation, and there's a parasympathetic and a sympathetic nervous. Oh, that's why I make stupid decisions when I'm scared,
Right.
when I'm sad, right? This is why this person makes me feel calm, I feel very creative. That's science.
Right.
And we don't teach people that. And I know why, right? It's generally, last 30 years, new information, and it's tough to reform curriculum. But the second reason, as a financier, it's much easier to take money from people who don't know how their brain works.
Right.
Let's be very direct about
There's
this.
a financial incentive in keeping the population dumb.
Yes,
so
it
to
is.
speak.
I mean, you're seeing it across the world right now. There's a real, even bigger than financial incentive, a lot of incentives to keep people dumb.
Right.
And I don't want to be part of that.
Again, agency. Keep your agency. Do not ever sell out that aspect of your life.
Because it means that's selling out your humanity. If you don't have agency, it's the essence of being alive. So why would you?
What's the purpose?
What's the point of? Then what's the point?
Right.
And you're seeing that play out in depression numbers, drinking numbers, birth rate numbers, marriage numbers, divorce numbers, suicide numbers.
Right.
They may not be naming what's happening, but if you're not looking at these statistics amongst people, particularly young people,
Right.
what they're really saying is that it's a feeling of despair.
Right.
Right? What's the point of being alive? I don't care anymore.
Right.
And it leads to reckless behavior,
Right.
dissolution of social compact, increased insurance costs. You see it playing out in every aspect. If it's not stated on the front page of the Wall Street Journal,
Right.
but that is what's happening.
Right. Very true. Well, I am inclining to get an Audible and read it with my 2 kids, because I feel like you cannot drill the message of kindness soon enough and having agency. So when I look at you, and you talk very extensively about your life in the book as well, thank you for sharing that aspect. What is your parenting philosophy, I wonder, with your 3 kiddos? Because every parent, whether they put it on their kids or not, has a definition in their minds of success and what it means. Your mother and your dad, they both had one for you and your brother and your sister, right? And I do for my kids as well. And you often define it as getting into an Ivy League school. Like, now I have a high schooler coming up now, and everything's focused on where you're going to go to college and extracurriculars and STEM camps and sports and debate club. There's a lot going on, right? And I don't think we're drilling the message of kindness enough. So I wonder, when you look at your kids and you have such a philosopher and a businessman in you. What is your parenting philosophy?
So first of all, can you imagine being one of my kids? It's like, Dad, what's the answer? I'm like, what do you think the answer is? Yeah.
Right.
There's sometimes they're like, Dad. It's the opposite. The irony is that I'm the opposite, and so is my wife, the opposite of a helicopter parent.
Right. That's where helicopter does not apply.
It doesn't, because when you are a helicopter parent, you are not allowing your children to discover their agency.
Right.
They have to fall a little bit and
Right.
crash just a little bit. So my job as a parent is to let them fly, but to create there needs to be a net that when they do crash, it's not catastrophe.
Right.
Right? So I want them to crash,
Right.
but there's a hand
Right.
that can apply to emotional, to anything, right?
Right.
There's a soft hand around. They know that they're ready to go and that a hand will be there, but not to prevent the crash.
Right.
Just the worst parts of it. And then the second thing is I really want them to, it's the balance of life, money, joy, to fly in balance. And, helicopter physics, this, that hovering is the most difficult pilot skill to have.
Right.
And people look at helicopters hovering and say, oh, they're not moving.
Right.
But what most people don't know, hovering, it's really hard to hover because
Right.
it's four forces in perfect balance.
Right.
And that's why they start teaching hovering day one in helicopter,
Okay.
because it's that hard to master.
Okay.
And so I am teaching my kids to do that. Even now, this summer, like I've got one kid, as much as I miss them, and yeah, I'm a worried parent because of the world, but one of them's leading trips in Switzerland right now. A high school kid's like hiking the Alps.
Right.
One of them's in Korea in an apartment, immersed in Korean language for 8 weeks. God knows what she's doing. Okay. And the other one's down, we just came back, was in Durham, like helping research for a humanities project at Duke.
Right.
And they were in three separate places.
And they all chose to be there.
They all wanted to do what they wanted to do. And
Right.
we let them do that.
Right.
And yeah.
I also feel like you don't talk enough about Meg, your wife in the book. I don't know if she's because she's a private person, but she sounds like such a superwoman.
She is a superwoman.
It's like she held fort all on her own.
Yes. And she told me, I mean, there were a couple of, she shows up in the book not often, but in the most seminal inflection point moments.
I noticed that.
Right. When should I come back after failing for 6 months? Should I go back? And her looking at me and saying, the James that I married
Right.
would go back.
Right.
It's when my father died, and like her saying, like did your dad die? And yeah, my wife is one, I love her, she loves me. I mean, that goes without saying. Two, she's an empiricist. So my wife is the CEO of Cure Alzheimer's. She's a scientist, and she's a scientist.
Right.
And so that's how her brain works. And
Right.
I'm very proud of her. For 10 years, she's been running the research for one of the most successful Alzheimer's venture-style investment firms in the world. And so they promoted her to CEO, and for the last year, she's taken that business, it's a business philanthropy organization to a whole different level.
It needs to be run the same, yes.
Yeah, so that's who she is. So she studies the brain too in a different way.
In a different way.
And so one of the things I nudge her and say, I get it. It doesn't cure it, but a lot of things like music,
Right.
they're palliative.
Right.
They do help with decelerating
Right.
sort of some of the effects of Alzheimer's and dementia. And so it's funny how we both study brains, but in a slightly different way and in a slightly different space.
But reaching almost the same conclusion
Yeah.
in maintaining your agency. And,
Correct.
And how can she help someone at a certain age do that? Because that's the big loss.
Because isn't that what that is? As you get older, it's a fear of
Right.
losing agency, and Alzheimer's and dementia, by definition, you're losing your agency, which is why those two diseases, it's the saddest
Right.
to watch.
And it seems like you guys have also done a good job of blending two very different cultural families together. And I noticed the same about your father-in-law. You mentioned him in the book at some very key inflection points in there. So I I was really amazed at how you went in and out of the business, the private equity, the Ashley Stewart story, and your personal life. So
Thank you. Well, it's all blended. We can try to pretend that we can live segmented lives. That's not how your brain works.
right,
That's why some of your listeners may not, sometimes in toxic work cultures, they think they can block that out. And then all of a sudden, physiologically, at home, everything's okay. Like, that's not how human bodies work.
right,
So it's not good for you. I mean, before the pandemic, there was some Stanford study. It said that work was the fifth leading cause of death in the United States. And when I read it, I'm like, no, I think it's higher than
right
that.
after road accidents. It's
Yeah,
like
it's higher than that
Right.
because just stress,
right,
right? What it leads to bad eating, right? Lack of sleep, like you can't learn,
right.
physical effect. I think it's higher. I haven't seen a new study since then, but yeah, work kills people.
Makes you think about your terminology around the work you and the home you. That's probably what drives people to separate the two.
That's right, because they don't think it's possible.
Possible.
So it's a lot of my efforts are generally two-sided, right? To address life you and to sort of show you that the work environment in which you work, that's not normal. Okay?
Right.
And that you can find better work environments. And if you're an entrepreneur, it's incumbent upon you, then you create that environment. If you don't like the environment, a corporate environment. And on the work front, I'm nudging a lot of people who are in a position to lead right now to actually lead and not just be a CEO.
Right.
Like, don't you want to be a leader?
Right.
But look at the statistics now of CEO turnover.
Unbelievable.
It's less than 3 years.
Right.
Because, like, I hate to say it, right? People think they want to be CEO. Being CEO, it kind of can suck sometimes. Let's be really real, right? And
Most of the times, I would say.
it's a very difficult job, and it's for me as someone I've managed, I don't know, 100 CEOs as a private equity guy, including myself managing me as the owner and CEO, which was harder. I look for people who are sort of begrudgingly become CEO because they get how much of a burden it is to be CEO. It means you're taking the responsibility of being a leader very seriously.
Yes.
And so people who are sort of flippant and saying, I want to be CEO because I want the title, and there's no gravitas.
Right.
I worry about those people and I don't hire them.
Right. If you can't manage yourself and your own burnout, how can you inspire that and manage that in others?
100%. Right? The whole book is about that. Right? If you can't do it yourself, why would other people follow you in doing it? And that's why the greatest teachers, right, they're the greatest listeners, right? That you have to be able to apply it to yourself. So CEO, same thing. Lead yourself, great. Try to help other people lead themselves. It's not about leading others.
Right.
Can you get them to lead themselves in a broader orchestra vision?
That in itself is a whole different podcast. Just that, what you said right there. Unbelievable. I think the one place where the book did fall short is there's no prescription in there. Like, you didn't give me a printout of steps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to do this. Was that intentional?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. Like when I was looking to write the book, which it was sort of begrudging as well, because it's a big responsibility to put something out.
Right.
I wanted it to stand the test of time. That's why it's a parable.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of the publishing industry, look at all the business books these days. The 5 ways you can do this, the 3 ways you can do this, the 8 ways you can do this. Learn from me, memorize what. I'm like, no, I'm not going to write a book like that. So it's a book that for people who want to sort of think and ruminate and underline and then reread and say, how does it apply to me?
Yes.
It's forcing people to grasp their agency. And on the website, there's stuff where I ask very leading, book club questions and saying, do you really think I'm just talking about a red helicopter? Like, how does agency relate to distributed decision making? So there's business nomenclature, but there's not a lot of fancy talk, right? This is much more simple words,
Right.
not hyper intellectualize, and asking you to apply what you're doing. So the next step, it's only been a little bit over a year since the book released. A lot of people in the traditional publishing industry, not my editors who were very supportive, they were worried about the book because they said, but what's red helicopter?
Right.
And it fits into 27 categories. Like, is it a business book? Is it a philosophy book? Is it a life book? Is it self? And I just said, it's all those things.
And you break it down. You break it down, the red helicopters for philosophers, in a very different way.
Yeah.
Like hovering is the hardest thing to do. Then you break it down for the scientist,
Yes.
with the actual technology behind how the helicopters build and flies. So I think it checks a lot of boxes. And that is such a perfect answer, is how would I have agency, which is the whole purpose of your book and your whole mission, if you were giving me a prescription on the 5 things I needed to do.
Yeah, it's like, it's everything. It has to be, the key word is like, it's the word, it's consonants.
Right.
Structural consonants. So
Right.
what the heart in your life, work me, home me, it's hard. Can you apply the same you in multiple areas of your life?
Right.
I mean, it's easy. It's hard enough to be one person, but to
Yes.
try to be like 8 different people, it's exhausting, which is one of the reasons why social media is like crushing our young people. They put on fronts,
Yeah.
which is why, like in Fortnite, they're making a fortune playing on that and asking kids to buy different skins.
Yes. That's their, yeah.
It's these different identities, and
Yes.
that is something, as a Gen X person, that would not have worked with us.
Right.
We picked one character and we stuck with him or her, and you try to self-improve.
Yes.
Today, like, we're saying to people, like, it's not important to understand yourself as much. You can pick any skin you want and present anything you want, but that doesn't work because we're still humans. That's why a lot of our young people are in desperate exploration of like themselves.
They are, aren't they? Yes.
Yeah, they're confused. Like,
Yes.
who am I? Which skin? I'm like,
Or which world?
100%.
And they lose the touch with reality, going back and forth between these different worlds. And they have real friends in the fake world,
That's right.
which is, to my brain, I'm like, that did not exist when I was young.
And fake friends in a real
Real
world.
world.
And what they really need are real friends in a real world, right? That's
Very true.
And so much of this is flipping the vector. And when you achieve flow state, so joy level, you are able to really discern space-time very clearly, right? And you're able to sort of be in real world, fake world, but never lose your sense of self. It's like the movie, what's that movie when, oh my gosh, when they go back in time, but they have an object that they need and they touch it.
Yeah, I do know what you're talking
Inception.
about. Right? Yes.
Inception.
Yes.
It's that. So the red helicopter, in some ways, for me, as I think about design and the brand of it, I want it to be that object when people touch it or see it. I'm saying to people, like, wait, get back to reality. What are you doing? And
It's a reminder.
particularly over the next 5 years, we're underestimating the amount of simulation and fakeness that there's going to be. You think it's a lot now? No. And it's worrisome.
Right. Very worrisome. Now, speaking of simulation and fakeness, one of your practices I really embody myself that I think is very underrated because self-care is so bougie is the quiet time. It seems like your best ideas came when you were observing your son with his cousins on an island, or you were skiing, or you were sitting in your not Ritz-Carlton hotel room in New Jersey. What do you recommend to people that live this life that is running 20,000 miles per hour? Is the relevance of that quiet time?
So we all have finite time. One of the key things in life that they don't teach you, but they teach it to you in physics, is the importance of that word is time. Like finite resource, and then how do you leverage time? If you're going around the Monopoly board and just living in a 24-hour-a-week life, a 24-hour-a-day life, it's exhausting.
It is.
So how do you create multiple U's? And to create multiple U's, that's leverage, right? So you have, quote, you save money and money compounds, right? The money's compounding, divorced from your time.
Right.
So that's threaded throughout the book. And so that's what I'm looking at the reader and saying, if you have a minimum amount of time,
Right.
how do you create these feedback loops that are looping and compounding without you
Having to physically be.
physically do it, right?
Right.
So that's one strategy. That's systems dynamics.
Right.
And then the second thing is, how do you keep things extraordinarily simple? What is your red helicopter story? And then chapter 4, 5, 6, what is your tea account?
Right.
What's the lemonade stand of you?
Yes.
These seem like very simple questions, but as you know, simple is really hard.
Right.
And if you can answer those questions and say, this is my simple helicopter and my ethos, root principles, I'm going to use physics, the laws of math,
Right.
life gets easier.
True.
And it frees up time.
True.
Right? And so then with time, you can explore the last section of the book, which is joy, hobbies, time with friends, connectedness, relationships. And
Right.
that's a life strategy, not just for the life of you. I actually apply this to all businesses.
Right.
What's your brand story?
Right.
Right? Like it's just rigorous, lot of work up front. What is it? Tell it to me in words, feelings, music, color. Tell me. And then the business plan, then Quant James comes out.
Right.
And I'm like, this business plan is foolish. Like you're
Right.
taking 20 steps. It should be 3 steps.
Right. Or you're diverging from your actual philosophy of your business or your brand.
Correct. Like the math doesn't, like accounting is
Right.
distorting the math.
Math.
So what's the red helicopter brand story? What's the most simple transcendent math to get it? Set it up in feedback loops.
Right.
And then you'll see when my companies, like people, when I was doing, like in particular, Ashley Stewart, but it's other companies too. When I was doing it, other people from outside the business, like business leaders, they said, James, oh my gosh, like this business has gone from like losing whatever. How are you? And it looks so easy.
Right.
And your employees are so calm.
Right.
There's time for the potluck dinner and the karaoke
Yes.
and the picnics.
And not at the Y.
Yeah, people were so calm.
Right.
And so from the outside world, it looked like we were moving really fast, which we did. We did
Right.
things very fast. But if you were on the roller coaster with me, like it didn't feel that way.
Yeah, it didn't. Right.
People were just like, what?
It's a wild ride.
This is so easy.
Yeah.
And so think about that's what kind and math, like real consonants at root principles.
Right.
But it's hard, right? You have an entire set of stimuli in the world and false prophets and that want to distract you from just simple truth. And so the book is a call to action for just simple truth. And whether it's, if you can't do it for yourself, I would never invest in you as an investor. If you can't do it for yourself, how will you do it for a company?
Right.
And that's why the book is structured in that way.
In that manner. Makes perfect sense now. Now, my favorite question. What is next for James? I mean, I see, is it another book? Is it run for the office?
What office do you think I should run for?
Maybe the highest office in the country? I don't know. I'd vote for you. I know that for sure. What are your aspirations for yourself now?
I think where I am in my life, I don't want to be morbid, right? But I don't know, I still feel like I'm youthful. But realistically, I'm 54 years old. So let's just say, as I look at the next 10 years, I feel like I'm in my prime of my life right now. My aspirations are less for me. It's in a Greek sort of way. I'm sort of going out into the public. It's like, what's my aspirations for humanity? And so all of that is folded into what I call Red Helicopter. Right. The book is like the opening philosophy book. And but I'm teaching it in schools, right? So, Howard, MIT, Duke, and now I received a new appointment at Yale.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And so I'm experimenting, can I teach it? For the last 4 years. And so it's going to a lot of different schools other than that, right? Those are nice friends to have on your side.
Yes.
That philosophy is being expressed both because it's easier to express it, but also it amplifies things. Chapter 9, Reverberation, right? In a musical that we're working on. We hope to debut it at Yale and hopefully put it on Broadway.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
And there's a lot of interest in making this book and the story into a movie.
I can see it as a movie. I can just see it.
So I'm working on that, like producing it, writing it.
But musical makes more sense because you're so musically oriented yourself.
Yes, and music, by the way, have historically been the most successful movies. Right. And so it's all multimodal, right? If there's one core good story in Fractal, then you can apply it to so many different places. So Red Helicopter, I hope one day as the world gets perhaps a little sadder and scarier and more simulated.
Right.
I hope that this name becomes synonymous with the things we talked about today, which is reality, imperfection,
Right.
humanity, agency, like true friendships, joy. Also, though, with that voice that you said earlier, with more of the professorial and private equity James saying, listen, I want you to have those, but you got to know how to do it.
Right.
Like, do you really want to know how to do it? Then learn these forms.
And are you going to put in the effort?
Yeah,
to
that's
do it?
right.
Right.
Are you going to do it? Like,
Right.
because if you don't want to do it, if you don't want to have agency, I don't have time.
Right.
And that's sort of the tone. I think it's a little bit my personality, but it's also the tone of the book and the brand.
Right.
I'm like, come, open door, high permission, big hug.
Right.
You don't want to come in? You don't want to do the work?
Right.
Then don't come.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Who would play James in the movie?
Who do you think should play James in the movie?
Oh my goodness, that's such a tough call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, there was one article in Forbes that said Stephen Yeun should play me.
Ooh, that's a good call.
Yeah, I think it should be someone. First of all, I will have a bit part in the movie because, as you know, the protagonists in the story, they're all women,
Right.
right? It's the women of Ashley Stewart, it's my wife,
Yeah.
particularly my mom.
Yes.
So that's who I want to dominate the screen.
Right.
And I have written pieces of the script like that. And then people have said, they're like, you have to be in it though.
Yes.
And I said, then I'll appear as the narrator.
Oh, okay.
So I think it should be my voice in the beginning
Right.
and then at the very end.
Right.
And maybe there's one part in, because it's less a business story, it's a story of lives. So
Right.
maybe there's one part where I show up. I don't know. I hope that whoever plays me is a little bit like taller, like better looking. Like, that'd be awesome. And I was like, even though it's based on real life, the book, I think that regarding me, it'd be nice if it was a little bit like fictional. Like they,
Right.
again, like oh, here's the funny part. I've also said I should have said this in the beginning. I don't care who plays me. I want the person to be shredded.
There you go.
That's it. I just want shredded. I was like, I don't care what race, height.
Yeah.
I don't care.
And then the
Shredded.
voice will be yours anyway, so
Yeah.
it'll be all
Yeah,
involved.
voice
Yeah.
and abs.
Abs, yeah.
That's all that matters.
And I heard there's an app coming out as well. How can somebody like me leverage the app?
Oh, it's because like the question is like it's scaling the book and then it's scaling me, but not in a weird way,
Okay.
right? So picture the app more like helicopter. Pretend you were in a helicopter simulation. You were learning to fly a helicopter.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so it's
interesting.
taking you through the book as if you were flying, like getting your license. So it's a pilot certificate. So the first beta app is not with full animated graphics like a
Right.
flight simulation, but as things progress and technology progress, it's like picture reading the book again. Just you're literally flying.
I already see a VR application. And
That's exactly where it's going.
that's pretty
And that
interesting.
you can feel it.
Yeah. And
right?
what a different perspective
Yeah.
on life, on management, on everything that you talk about.
Because it's the reality. Like I hope that the VR will enable you to sort of fly in 6 different directions, sort of understand and be a little bit fearful. The helicopter should dip, right? It should be a little volatile
yeah.
and that you feel it. And like, oh, life's not easy. I'm like, no, life's not easy. So that's why the app, and then where it'll lead to is that after you get your certificate or you go through the proverbial door, you've done the work,
Mm-hmm.
it opens you up into a world
Okay.
of red helicopter. So now you fly, you meet all of your co-pilots.
And can you start earning miles?
Yes.
That's awesome.
It's you earn currency,
Currency. Okay.
right? And so that your good behavior, these pro-social behaviors that are not quantified in accounting, which is
Right.
so much of how I invest,
Right.
you should be able with blockchain technology to calculate your currency.
Yes.
So then you can turn social currency
Mhm.
into financial currency.
And oh my goodness, it speaks to the heart of the generation you're trying to reach the most. The
Yes.
students that you want to have grow up with this
Yes.
philosophy and not have to relearn it like we're having to do.
Yes, and I think unfortunately that generation, we all wanted I'm Gen X, But unfortunately, where the world is, and there are many smarter people than me, like Ray Dalio, who've been writing about this. Sadly, this is a good opportunity to introduce something like this, because there's going to be a lot of pain and change and things over the next 10, 15 years.
Right.
Systems are they're getting reset. We are already in global war.
It's an existential recalibration sort of a time.
Yes, it's the proverbial cafeteria. Like, in order to change, unfortunately, people don't want to change unless they have to. And I'm sort of nudging people and saying, instead of waiting for that, why don't you start now?
Yeah.
Because
be prepared.
This what we're talking about. If I had written this book, when I did Ashley Stewart, no one really understood what we were doing. Right? When I was saying, they're like, James, what are you talking about? But nowadays, the reason why the book is accelerating is because people are living through existential crisis. From the pandemic to everything that's happening in the world. Every day. And they're like, wow, we feel like we're in the cafeteria now. We understand. It wasn't about a business. You were talking about humanity, life. It's crisis. And what do we do? And so in the book, I'm like, you have two choices. Go for the old lunch warmer. Like, don't do anything and say, I want the old times, which a lot of people are doing now. We want the old times. Yeah. That's fear-based silliness. Right. Or you can say, you know what? Let's take the best of the past. Right. We don't have to reinvent everything. Right. How do we modernize what's best from the past? Right. And let's move forward and be, let's go. And in order to do that, you have to be, quote, innovative and creative. Right. But if that's a necessity, it's not an end goal. I think too many technologists are like, what's your end goal? I want to be innovative. I want to be disruptive. Right. I'm like, what are you talking, for what? Right. Why? Those are just ways of being in order to solve problems. Right. So what's the problem you're trying to solve? What is it for you? And so, yeah, I think I hope that this helps frame process better for people and really make them hover and saying, what am I doing? Why am I doing it? And most importantly, how can I do that? Right. And so I hope that this answers more the how. Because there are a lot of people who talk about what and why, but they don't know how. So, yeah. That's perfect. Thank you, James, for taking the time. What an honor and privilege to have you here with us, spend the last couple of days listening to you talk and learning so much. I think I did a lifespan of learning in the past couple of days, so really appreciate you for that. Life isn't always like a feel-good movie, but it is definitely undeniably wholesome. Is there always a happy ending? That's a loaded question because it depends on, as James said very perfectly, how you define winning. For those of us who are in it to win it, the red helicopter serves as a reminder that the why and the how of the journey matter far more than the final outcome. It's okay, even necessary, to redefine what success means as we grow, evolve, and learn more about ourselves and our priorities, and not to be driven by external validation or influences. At the end of the day, relationships are what matter most, or as we say at Zeal, people first. Whether it's our clients, employees, or vendors. You can be successful by prioritizing relationships, and the red helicopter is proof of that. That's what makes the world go round, even if we're constantly told it's all about the dollars and the cents. Thank you, James, for joining us today on our podcast, for helping us relearn this very fundamental truth about ourselves. And as you said perfectly in the book, and as we like to say at Zeal, there's no agency without zeal. So we're very, very happy to have you here. Thank you. Thank you.